In this video, I will be talking about the differences between mass and the weight. The mass is the measurement of the amount of matter in an object, or in other words, how many atoms are inside an object is the measurement of the mass. The more the atoms or more the matter in an object means more the mass is. The mass is measured in kilogram, which is the SI system. It is a scalar quantity. That means the mass does not have any direction. It has only magnitude. That means the mass is only positive. It cannot be negative. Mass is always positive. So now the mass of an object remains the same and does not depend where you measure it. For example, the mass of an object remains the same whether you measure it on the Earth, Moon, Jupiter, Venus, or any other galaxy. It remains exactly the same. Mass is not changing with a change in location or change in the planet or change in the galaxy. It remains the same thing. It's a constant. The weight is the measurement of the gravitational pull. It is the measurement of the gravitational pull. That means it depends on the gravity of the planet or the gravity of the moon or the gravity at that location. So the weight is given by this formula here. Weight is equal to the mass times the gravity, or g. Here this g here is called the acceleration due to the gravity. And as you can see, it is a vector quantity. The arrow represents the vector sign. So you can see from this equation that more the mass is, the more the weight will be, or more the acceleration due to gravity, the more the weight will be. So the weight depends on this factor here, acceleration due to the gravity. And this value depends on the location, mass, and size of the planet or the moon. So for example, if you go to the top of the Mount Everest, the g value will decrease compared to the value of g onto the sea level. So this is position dependent or the location dependent, but the mass always remains the same. Now let's say you have an object and you measure onto the moon and onto the earth. The mass remains exactly the same whether you measure onto the earth or on the moon. But if you measure the weight of the same mass onto the earth and onto the moon, the weight onto the moon will be about 1/6 of the weight onto the earth. And the reason is the value of g onto the moon is about 1/6 of the value of g onto the earth. So the weight depends upon the g. All right. So it can change, the weight can change, but the mass is remains fixed. It doesn't matter where you measure it. The weight is measured in Newton, whereas the mass is measured in kilogram. So these are the differences between the mass and the weight.